That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortune, me blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. Cut that game plan. Show out like a drotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the kick rock, skipping the course, squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with pens and needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dreams till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Either we make up or just break up, and the snake hits get the rake up. Yeah, selfish, I'ma cake up if I don't shake me to wake up. Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, they pushing me to progression like I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah.
The loser on the block.
Get down. Let me clear my throat. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortune, me blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand.
I'm all saying good evening and my mic is muted. That's on me today. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. I am so glad to be back with you on tonight. Good evening, Anae. Good evening, our Bravette extraordinaire. Thank you for joining us. And yes, I apologize. We apologize for the change of the show content on tonight. It seems that life is life and it's really just life. But that's all right. We're going to roll with it. We're going to make it happen. And we're still going to have a great show. So as we always do, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, share, invite a friend, and bring them into this great conversation that we are looking forward to having on tonight. We're expecting to have the men's lounge on tonight. Wanted to talk about leading. You know, there's a lot of conversation that's going on in these streets today about relationships and leading. So I had a question that came up and, my girls chat was, are men really leading, or are we letting them? Are they really taking the reins, or is it that we're just giving them space and allowing them to do? So, we want to see who's really in the driver's seat, because most women expect men to lead, so we wanted to talk about that and have our men on tonight, but don't worry, they will be back. But on tonight, we have a little switch up, and I have invited one of my good friends. Her name is Michelle Roach. Seems to be having a little technical difficulty getting on tonight, but that's okay. She will be here, I am sure. And we are just looking to have her come on and share about her book. And as usual, her book name is Simply Love. And we want to hear a little excerpt from the book and have her share as to what brought her to write it and what motivated it and all that good stuff. So I want to say good evening again and welcome to everybody. We appreciate you joining us. Again, shout out to the Major Bravet and Nay. We love you. Lady Novoa, what's happening? Good to see you in the house as always. Please like, subscribe, and share. Sharing is caring. So on tonight, while I'm waiting for her to come and show up, yes, our veteran sister, always holding it down. That's right. When one is repping, we're all repping. But here on the Bravo with Sheila Network on Thursday nights at Lady Dawn B, we like to have real conversation with real resolution. This is not a judgment zone. We are not here to condemn nor convince anyone of anything. We are just here to share the nuggets of life that we have accumulated in order to help people to just better themselves, have a better relationship with themselves, so they can have better relationships with one another. Hey, Von Eric, blessings to you. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Come on and like, subscribe, and share. Invite somebody into the conversation on tonight. Looking forward to having your comments and your feedback in the chat. So, on tonight, as I said, we apologize that the content has changed. We're expecting the men for the men's lounge to come in and give us some good feedback, some good information. But again, life be life, and as they say, so we go move with the flow, and we gonna keep pressing. Sometimes, it gets a little hard. It gets a little difficult to keep hanging in there, but we hanging, right? Where else are we going? So again, on tonight, I had one of my good friends, my sister from North Carolina, who is a fellow author, and she's expected to come on. She's having a little technical difficulty. So it's me and you, and we gonna roll with it for now until she arrives. So she wrote a book called Simply Love, and it's a poetry book and sharing some experiences from her heart. And I wanted her to come on and share so we could talk about the things that in life and in love. I'm sorry, in life and in love, so that we can all share, because we've all been there. We've had good relationships and some bad relationships, but we've all walked away with some experiences that we can definitely share and glean and grow from it, right? Right. So I'm going to jump in on tonight while we're waiting for our special guest. So I'm going to be your guest, your host and your guest on tonight. And I'm going to share a few things, if you don't mind, if it's all right. I also wrote a poetry book called Soul Poetry with a partner of mine, Antoinette Saunders, called Soul Poetry Matters of the Heart, where we were just sharing from our different experiences and the places in our heart, some things that still rest within our heart. The heart is the sea of emotions. And a lot of times when we don't take the time to really dig in to get to the bottom of that sea of our emotions, we make wrong decisions. It leads us in wrong directions, and we find ourselves in a cycle repeating things that we really don't want to repeat. So it seems that we're connecting to the same type of person, but maybe just with a different face, because we have not yet cleared out really the things that are at the bottom of our heart. So when we decided to write this book, Matters of the Heart, it caused us to dig down and reflect and really get to the bottom of the things that we don't want to talk about, the spaces in ourselves that we don't want to touch because they're sensitive and they're tender. But we thank God that at a certain point in life, we just have to get to the place of facing ourselves, right? Anybody want to get there? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to keep repeating the same mistakes that I've made. I don't want to keep doing them over and over. I want to be able to work through them and move forward. So again, we wrote this book called Soul Poetry Matters of the Heart. I shared a piece from it last week, and Anae, yours is on the way. Shared a piece last week, and I think I'm going to share a piece this week. um, called The Face of Love. All right. Y'all want to hear some poetry on tonight? And then let's talk about it and let's share. Now, love is something that we all need. Love is something that we all desire. Love is something that we all we have our different expectations. I love when Auntie Bravo says, I get it wrong all the time, but she speaks about expectation low. Sometimes our expectations are not realistic. Sometimes our expectations are a little too much. Sometimes we expect more than we're willing to give, and sometimes we give a little less than we expect. But what I've learned is to go into things pertaining to love in a sense without any major expectations of my own. I really learned that in love to assess the person or the object. It doesn't always have to be male, female. It could be friend. It could be sister, brother. But whatever it is or whatever that relationship is, it's important that we assess the people that we are involved in engaging with so that we can set proper expectations in how we want to be loved and how we should love one another. So I want to read this to you and share my take or my experiences of love, if that's all right. Is that all right with y'all? That's all right. All right, here we go. It's called The Face of Love. It's by me. I didn't put a face on love for fear my vision would be jaded, causing me not to recognize it when it appeared. I didn't put a name on love as I was concerned if I mispronounced it, it wouldn't answer my call. I didn't put a label on love for fear that it would fall off and never find its way home. I didn't put an expectation on love because I didn't want to limit its capabilities. Instead, I decided to close my eyes and take deep breaths, listen for my heartbeat, feel its rhythm, and simply embrace love as it is in its pure, organic, authentic, genuine, passionate, full, limitless essence. I decided to see it with my soul lingering in it like the air I breathe. Let it create its own sound and flow through my veins as God intended. And it formed a beautiful creation wrapped in latte colored flesh with the brownest eyes I've ever seen. When you speak, it's like God is whispering my name. When we kiss, it's the heavens rain. You drink my tears when I cry as you kiss each one away. They may escape my eyes, but never make it down my cheek on my face. Your love feels like the grace. Your arms extract the toxic love and scars left behind and transform them into beautiful new skin. Gentle, perfect, soft, covered, embedded with strength, confidence, and everything I will need to survive. My heart's guarded by you instead of by me. What a load off. I finally feel free. Free indeed. I not only feel safe, I am safe. Forever safe. And now I have all I need to face the world because your love has covered not just a multitude of my sin, but it healed every place that needed to be fixed. Within, I can finally lift my face-to-face love. To accept love, to protect love, and to respect love. I didn't put a face on love for fear my vision would be jaded, causing me not to recognize it when it appeared. But now I know what love looks like, and I'm so glad it's here. And again, this is The Face of Love. This is written by me. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. And they said, oh, I like that. My heart is guarded by you. Yes, ma'am. It is important. It is really important that when you mentioned that, we guard our hearts so much, and it's our responsibility. We have to be the gatekeepers of our heart. And as we allow people into our lives, and again, whether it is a romantic relationship, a sisterly relationship, brotherly relationship, father, friend, whatever it is, we give people access into our hearts and into our lives and into our situations. And it takes a lot to guard our hearts. And that's what I found out. And the line that you're referring to, Anae, my heart is guarded by you. It was a lot of work that had to go into the relationship that was built, that I got to a place where I finally felt safe enough to let someone else guard my heart. Varn Eric says, wow, nice Dawn Beat. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. This is one of my life lessons that I gleaned from. It was a very, very hard, very hard lesson that I learned concerning love and the guarding of your heart, concerning how to label love. And after a while, because I thought love was one thing, and I found out, I know we've all been here, you're thinking love is one thing, and you find out that it's not. There's a difference between love and infatuation. There's a difference in my feelings and my emotions and reality. They're all different. And I remember going through the disappointments and not understanding, well, why, am I not getting the results from love that I expected, or that I thought, or that I felt I should have, and I think we have all been there. I'm sure we all been there. If you've been in any relationship, I know you've been there. And I found that I had to stop and reassess my own view of love. And then I had to kind of take the limits off, because I was looking for people to be one thing, but everybody has a different capacity, and it's not fair when we put our maybe sometimes high expectations on someone who doesn't have the capacity to fill that space or to fulfill that expectation. So when it came to love, I learned that I had to take all the labels off and just breathe, and just let it breathe, and learn how to breathe it in. I had to learn how to let God teach me love from the inside. And so I used that as my gauge. And then I learned to love differently. So this was what the poem, The Face of Love, was coming from, and where it generated from, and what made me write it. And then your comment, my heart is guarded by you. Yes. Again, we give people access to us, and we have to be very careful as the amount of access that we give, especially when it comes to the matters of our heart, especially when it comes to the matters of our heart. As an author and as a poet, this is one of the most transparent places that I've found that I can express myself and get to a place of freedom. So if you don't write, even if you journal, I recommend journaling, just so you can flesh out the things that are in your heart, get them off your chest, so that you'll be able to free yourself and make space. It gives such clarity. And I was so glad when I got to the point where I was able to really write this and be honest with myself, because there are many faces of love, as we have different relationships with different people. Oh, amen. Well, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Von Eric. You are so welcome. I really realized there's that capacities for people are very different. And I had to kind of compartmentalize people, really be willing to accept them for who they are and where they are. And that helped me love them better. And that helped me receive love better. But I had to stop putting everybody in the same box when it came to that. And we tend to do that. I know what my needs are. You go in the store, you go in one store that has many shelves for many things. There's many aisles, and you can get everything you need in one store, but everything is not in the same aisle. Well, I found the same is when it comes to loving one another and relationships. Love is the one store, but there are many, many aisles. And in each aisle, there's someone different. So we just got to make sure we're walking down the right aisle at the right time so that we can receive. Anae says scripture even says to guard your heart. That's right. We have to be careful who we give a duplicate key to. Anae, you spitting the words tonight. I like that. A duplicate key to. That's right. That's right. We do duplicate the key and giving people access to us. And we have to, because once something gets in our hearts, it's so hard to get it out. It is extremely hard to get it out. And sometimes, it takes more work to get it out than it does to get it in. All it takes is one moment to let something in, but it can take years and a lifetime to get it out. So we do have to be very, very careful. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work going back and backtracking and trying to figure out the root of things. But that's also where this book that we wrote, Soul Poetry, Matters of the Heart, it was really key, because this was when we decided to get down to the bottom of the matters of our heart, the things that seated themselves in places that we didn't expect, the things that seated themselves in spaces that we didn't even know about. Sometimes things get in and they sit there dormant for a long time, and we don't realize it until years later when something starts to manifest and we start feeling some kind of way, or we're wondering why we're acting or reacting or moving in a specific manner. And, you look back and you're like, oh, snap, I didn't even know that was in there. So it's important that we take time to take that self-inventory, and again, to guard our hearts and guard our gates, and make sure that, like Anae said, that we are careful about who we give a duplicate key to. That is so good, Anae. I mean, I think I want to put that on a t-shirt. I'm telling you. The fact that I got to a place, I know we all have trust issues in some way, shape, or form in some places. But I was grateful that I got to a place, and I just want to embellish a little bit more on the point that Anae made on the line that talks about, now you guard my heart. It took me a long time to trust, to work through my trust issues and not allowing disappointment to lead and guide. That is one major area that we have to learn how to work over and to work through, so that we can move forward into a greater place and into a greater space, and like she said, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. That is not a place that we should just be willing to just give to people. That's a space in us that we have to allow people to earn within us. And I found that was one thing that I wasn't doing. I was just kind of, letting people start on 100 instead of allowing them to work their way to 100, just giving people free entrance to us, in every way. And we can't do that, because again, we end up with things within us and within our hearts that we are not prepared, or we did not expect that later on down the line would be a problem or an issue. And we wonder how we got here. So when you find someone in your life, again, male, female, friend, parent, cousin, whatever the relationship, that you can allow them to guard your heart, keep them. I can gladly say my best friend, her name is Tawana. She is one who I trust with my everything. I know that she'll guard my heart, she'll guard my spirit, she guards my life, she guards everything. She's been with me at my worst and in my best, so that's my rider. But she's the only one I think who has the duplicate key to, as Anae said. So when it comes to the faces of love, we have to be very careful. I remember in writing this, I was saying how I didn't put a label on it for fear that it would fall off. And that was really, again, about expectations not being met. I didn't want something that I couldn't have. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Because sometimes we set ourselves to want something that we just can't have. And often we have that desire for things. And so I had to get to a realistic place within myself to reassess what I really expected, what I required, what I wanted. And is this person really capable of giving me that? Do they really have the capacity? And a lot of times we want what we want so bad that we will convince ourselves that someone else is able to do it, that we know. We make them a hero that they're not. I've done it. I definitely have done that. I've made people a hero in my life that they are not, by convincing, because this is just what I wanted, and I wanted them to be this, and I wanted them to love me like this. And if I just gave them time, and if I just gave them space, and if I just hung in there with it a little bit longer, and I'm pretty sure we've all been there. We've all been there before. That we are so hopeful. And it wasn't because of the person. I wasn't willing to accept that the person did not have the capacity, but I was convincing myself that they would become capable of having that capacity. And therefore I walked myself into believing the lie instead of believing the reality and letting it go, which didn't do any of us any good. And there was no love in that at all. So we have to love ourselves enough to be realistic and to be truthful. And then say that part again about the label. I want to absorb that. Okay. I said in the book, in my poem, I said I didn't put a label on love for fear that it would fall off and never find its way home. That's the line in the book that's the line that I wrote in the book. But I was saying I didn't label it because I didn't want to be disappointed when what I was calling it is not what it was. Or I believed I was going to label it and make it into something, or make someone into something that they're not. And it's just really important that we break those places, that we break that thought pattern. It took a while for me to really break myself of the thought that if I just kept calling a thing, it was going to happen, or a person. I can't make that person have a capacity that they don't have. So you're welcome, Renee. You're welcome. Yeah, it's a truth. It was a lot of soul searching. When it comes to matters of the heart, that's really what it's about. It's really about soul searching. And you have to be willing to get to the place where you are seeing you face to face. It's not about anybody else. No other person is in the room or in that space. It's just you and you. And so when I got to the place where it was just me with me, is when I realized that this is why that was happening to me. It was because I was trying to fit people into spaces that they did not belong. But everyone is capable of love, of a level of love. Von Eric said, how long did you stay in this reality you're speaking of? Oh, Von Eric. That's a really good question. I've come to find out I stayed in that space of reality. For many years. I want to say maybe at least, honestly, about 10. It was about 10 years that I walked in this space and in different relationships. Because the truth was, I wanted what I wanted, but I wanted it in people that weren't able to give it to me. So I kept repeating the relationship with the same type of person, but a different face. It was the same type of person, just with a different face. And I kept trying to make them into something that they were not. And I went through this cycle probably, honestly, for about 10 years. And it took me to really get to the point and say, okay, I'm the common denominator. Like, what's happening that these past few relationships keep having we keep getting into the same space. It looks the same. And I had to say to myself one day when I was really writing down the pros and cons, like, wait a minute, I realized the common denominator was me. So the problem was not the outside people, the problem was me. So that's when I took the time to do that personal self-assessment and really get down to, as the book says, the matters of the heart, and find out what was happening within Dawn, that I kept wanting to label things or people to be something that I clearly knew they were not. People can have potential. We all have potential to be many things, but we know every bit of potential doesn't always go fulfilled. Everything that we do, that we have the potential to do, we do not always do. So committing to potential is a very tricky area. It's very gray, if you ask me. In my opinion, it's very gray, because there's no guarantees that that potential is going to come to full fruition in the end. A person has to want to become. I think it has to be innate in them to become more. Oh, thank you, Ine. Thank you. I'm trying to help somebody. I have walked the path. It has been a very heavy path, but I'm glad I did it, because you know what? I freed myself of a cycle that I was going through. And I had to really tell myself that I was worth it. I was worth this work, because the work that I was putting in to try to create a relationship out of something that should not have been a relationship was wasted efforts. And it was because I didn't want to deal with part of the pain of dealing with myself, of really looking at, the bottom line of what's going on within me. It was easier to keep putting a Band-Aid on it and just to continue to keep, overlooking it or smiling over it and just bypassing it. But there comes a time in our lives where we have to really get to a place again where it is you and you. And I got to the me and me place. And I was so glad that I did. And I took a slow walk through the journey. And I started to redeem myself. And I started to pull me back up. And I stopped putting so much work into others. And I started putting work into me. And, I found my joy coming back. I found my peace coming back. I found my strength coming back. It was a really tight space to be in, but it was worth it. Von Erich says, after the Lord pulled you out of that reality, did you go through a short or long depression? I didn't go through a depression after the Lord pulled me out of that reality. And that's a really good question. I actually went through the depression while I was in that reality. That was the problem. It was really depressing me, because I was forcing myself to accept something that I really did not want. I was, and that was really what it was. I was forcing myself, and that was making me depressed in my spirit, because my spirit was very unhappy. It was very unsettled. I was going through, I started dealing with anxiety even. It was a lot of stress, but I didn't go through the depression after the Lord pulled me out of the reality. I was free. So I was like, freedom felt foreign at that time. It really did. It's so funny. We can go through something for so long that when we get free, freedom feels uncomfortable. So I had to learn how to embrace freedom and be free again. So I hope that that answers your question. Some people may go through a long or a short depression because it's like detoxing, and then learning to live again. So you just have to know your space, I would say. And they said, do you find yourself writing again from this place you're in? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm actually working on another book right now. I've written 4 so far. I've co-authored 4 books so far. The first one was, first of all, I write with the most amazing writers group in the universe, if you ask me, called Harlem Girls. Is co-founders, Dr. Elaine Saunders and Coach Pache Felton are amazing. just phenomenal. They will push you, pull you, support you, and make sure that everything that's in you comes out. The motto is there's more in you, and they are right. They are gifted in pulling that out. But the first book that we wrote was Loving You is the first book that I partnered them with them. It was Loving You is Hurting Me, and I was sharing part of my story of the marriages that I was in that did not, and I said marriages, I was married more than once. Yes. Thank you for your wisdom answer. Much love and respect. Oh, blessings to you, Von Eric. My pleasure. Listen, this is what it's about for me, honestly, guys. It's, if I'm not called to everybody. I shared this with somebody the other day. I said, no one is called to everyone, but everyone is called to someone. So I don't look for 10,000 people. God may not have called me to 10,000 people, but if he called me to 2 or to 5 or to 7, those are the ones that I'm going to give, my very best to. I'm going to give the essence of me too, because I always say Jesus took 12 disciples and took over the world. So, I don't look for, I'm grateful to be able to share my story and whatever wisdom, whatever knowledge that I have, so that I can reach those who are assigned to my voice, even if it's for a moment, for a season, for a time, or for forever. So this space and spaces like these is really what I love. So that, again, we have such a safe space here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. I love that this space is created so that we can be free and be honest. And like I said, we have real talk with real results at the end of the day. Tonight went a whole nother way. Like I said, I'm not even sure what happened to my girl, Michelle. And I guess this is the way tonight was supposed to go. Maybe I was supposed to, God knows all. He knows best. And, although it's not what we expected and what we intended, but I guess it's what God had on the schedule. So, I thank y'all for hanging in there with me. And, I'm just being transparent. I can only be real. That's all I can be. I don't know how to be fake. I'm going to tell you, it's just straight with no chaser and shoot from the hip. So, I appreciate you guys. I know you all like, subscribe, and please share. Please share. Invite someone into this space. Someone else may need this. Someone else might need to hear it. Somebody else might need, this small, intimate setting to just come and be encouraged on tonight. And they said this was supposed to happen. Apparently, it was supposed to happen. I guess I was supposed to be my own guest on tonight to share. I'm sorry, I don't know if I answered your question. Do you find yourself writing again from this place you're in? Again, yes. And I love your question also because you said, do I find myself writing again from this place you're in? So this place that I'm in is so very different from the place I was in, even when I wrote. Now, Soul Poetry just came out this year in May. We just released it. But in September, I find myself in a whole nother space than I was in May when we released this book and when we started writing this book. But I find myself writing again from the recovered side. As Von Eric was saying, the Lord pulled me out of that reality that I was in. And now I see things even clearer. I see things way differently. I see things, she said, it did, the growth. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is, maturity and growth come through experience and through struggle. I've learned to really, there's a song that we sing in church. It says, Lord, don't move the mountain, give us the strength to climb. And that's become kind of like my motto, because I found it for so long. I kept saying, God, if you take care of this, or God move this for me, and God do that for me. And God got to the point, at a certain point you have to mature. And he was like, I'm not moving anything else. He said, if you want to get to the other side, you're going to have to go over it. You're going to have to go through it. But the good thing is that I didn't go through it alone. God took me through it. And they said allowing God to affirm love is so necessary. And that is really true. Now, in the first book that I co-wrote in, loving you is hurting me. One of the things that I shared in that book, even like with this poem that, The Faces of Love, in the book, one of the things that I wrote was that I know God's love. I've experienced God's love. We all do daily. And God's love is so strong and so unconditional. For me, my errors came in that I never used, and I wrote this in the book, I never used God's love for me as a guideline of how I should be loved. I used it as a guideline as how I should love people, but I didn't use it as a guideline on how I should be loved. And I did that because, so proud of you. Thank you, Auntie Bravo. That means a whole lot. I guess this is how it was supposed to go tonight. So we're here. But I didn't allow myself to expect God's love for me through other people. I didn't. And that was where I was wrong, because I didn't put a standard on it. I didn't have a standard. And in the book, I said, I just accepted whatever a person gave me as like, well, this is the best that they could do. So, I'll take it and I'll go with it. And those pieces were fine for a while, but guess what? They were only pieces. And you need all the pieces in order to finish the puzzle and create the beautiful picture that love is supposed to be. We can't live off of pieces. We cannot love off of pieces. We can make it in off, for shipwreck, you can make it in off broken pieces. But when you get to shore, you got to start life all over again. And being loved partially and just accepting nothing else is such a great deficit. And that is where, honestly, kind of triggers back to what Von Erich was saying. When you don't allow yourself to be loved properly, you will end up in spaces and spots of depression, because there are pieces of you that are not being fulfilled. They're not being nurtured. They're not being cultivated. They're not being touched on. They're not being groomed. They're not being, iron is supposed to sharpen iron. There are pieces of you that go empty. And then we become depressed, and then we become frustrated, and then we're unhappy, So it's very important. I found out the reality is that we need to, or I needed to start using the way God loves me as a gauge. No one else is God. So I know no one's going to love me exactly the way God does, or to the magnitude that he does. But there are principles within his love that, we should expect from one another. Respect and covering and caring for. What I've learned is that I've learned to lead in love through service. By serving, if we go in serving one another, it grooms love and it breathes love, and then everyone is satisfied because it's reciprocal. Again, these are just Dawn's nuggets. That's all. Nuggets from Dawn. That's all. But we have to be so very careful. So very careful. So the space that I'm writing from now, that's a really good question, Renee. Again, the space that I write from now is a healed space, and not just a healed space, but it's from a whole space, which, to be honest with you, is very different for me. Sometimes it feels like it's more scary for me to write and be transparent and be real now, from the healed space, than when I was in the broken place, because the broken place became my norm. I knew what to expect in the broken place. I knew every nook and cranny of the broken place. I knew what was coming in the broken place. I knew where not to step in the broken place. I knew how to move in the broken place. But now that I'm in the whole space, in the healed space, I'm learning it, brand new. And they said, I agree. I pray to God for me to be able to serve in a way that pleases him. Amen. Every day. every day, every day. It is so important. I find it because you know what? God set the example for us already, and we make it so difficult sometimes because we go outside of that or we try to add on to it, and it's really just that simple. Really, just that simple. Um, you know, uh, I was sharing again with some other friends of mine. Said, "Dawn, dropping gold nuggets from the Lord." I feel you, Amen. This how He gives it to me. This how He gives it to me. So again, if I can help somebody with my experience in these spaces, all praise to God, all glory to Him. I thank you for He didn't bring me out for me to keep it to myself. So I'm grateful and honored to be able to share. But we make sometimes these processes of healing of becoming whole, of moving forward in these relationship spaces again. And it's not just male, female. The most important relationship that we have, and I usually say it in my opening, is the relationship that we have with ourselves. Because the relationship that you have with yourself will reflect on every other relationship. Because again, you will guard what you count valuable within yourself, and certain things you just will not allow into your atmosphere. So once we fix that relationship with ourselves, once I fixed my relationship with me, once I stopped picking me apart, sometimes we get up in the morning and we look in the mirror, and the first thing we do is see what's wrong instead of looking at, and we'll comment, oh, I need to put, my eyes are puffy. That's what I do. I know I do. Oh, my eyes are puffy. Oh, I'm pale today or whatever. Instead of waking up and just going in the mirror and finding something beautiful about ourselves, finding something positive about ourselves and working that way. That's why I said the relationship you have with yourself is so important. And again, once I got to the place where I improved the relationship with me and I started loving me on a daily basis and I started accepting me on a daily basis, when I stopped putting the pressure on me to be perfect on a daily basis, then it became easier for me to be mindful of what I allowed in and who I accept in. So that is very, very key. So again, this space that I'm writing from now as whole and healed is absolutely new to me. I love it, but it's a little terrifying. Sometimes I want to run back, but I can't. I have to stay here. It's like a whole new world. And the freedom that comes from the writing, um, it's a little scary, it's a little heavy sometimes. Um, it just, to know that I'm free to share is a great feeling. And they said, do you feel you are ready to receive love now? Y'all got some good questions tonight. Yeah, okay, I love it. I dig it. Do I feel I'm ready to receive love now? I hesitate to say yes, but I do want to say yes. Am I ready? Do I feel I'm ready to receive it? Yes, I do feel I'm ready to receive it. The process of receiving it, though, because now that I've done the work, and this is the conversation actually me and one of my best girlfriends had about dating. When I said, I think I'm ready to, because I was like, I'm not dating ever again. I said, I would love people. I would be the best, group date partner you ever had in your lifetime. But please don't ask me to do nothing one-on-one. Please don't tell me you like me. None of those emotions. I want no part of that. But I've gotten to the place where now I said, I've done all the work. And this is why I was saying, the place of being broken was the place where I was so used to being, that being free now is different for me. Being free and comfortable is real different for me. So I have to now put my work into practice. I now have to, the work that I did on myself and with myself is a place that I now have to come out of the comfort. You got to come out the stall now and actually go out into the world and put the work to the test. So am I ready to receive love now? I believe I am. I believe I am ready to receive it. But honestly, I'm gonna be transparent. It's real scary to me, and that's okay. And I realize that it's okay. It's okay that I am. Yes, Auntie. You have to walk it out in shoe leather. Yes. You do. You're right. It is. Oh, Jesus. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I really didn't. But that's a good one. The truth, you do. You have to what in the good shoe leather, not the faux leather. You got to get the good shoe leather, the real deal is how you got to walk it out. But the process, like I said, of walking this out is scary to me, but it's like a good scary. It's exciting because I'm like, oh my gosh. And they said sometimes you have to get a nudge. Okay, now Anae, I'm gonna tell you. One thing I'm gonna tell you. I'm honest about me, y'all. I'm real honest about me, and I'm real honest with me. I need more than a nudge. I'm not kind of like the nudge kind of girl. I'm probably more like you have to shove me a bit. Uh, not to the degree. Don't push me down the stairs. Not like that. But um, you know, uh, but a nudge. I'm learning. I'm learning to be gentle because I'm stubborn and I'm sensitive. We can nudge each other. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that. I'm a little bit of tough love. You got to give me a little bit of tough love. Um, but I'm ready. Like I said, I am ready. It's just the journey, the process is different for me because I don't know what that's like. I operated in such a broken space, honestly, for so long that became my norm. I prayed for others to have God's best and ultimate love, and I believe it. For other people, and I saw it happen in the lives of others, and I rejoice with them. And in my heart, I am so happy. I really am. But the struggle came was when I had to start to believe it for myself, that it was possible for myself. And this is a place where a lot of us struggle with, is believing it for ourselves. So when I got to that point is when I started to, again, do the work. I had to start believing it for myself. So I'm at that place where, yes, I believe it for myself. I know what I'm worth. I know what I come with. I know what I'm worth. I know what I deserve. Being ready to receive it now, it's going to take a minute. Like I had to pray and say, God, whomever you send my way, please give them the patience of Job and tolerance, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a little bit of a project in just letting you love me. But I'm going to get there. Yeah, they're going to need the patience because I'm so used to taking care of me that it's that it is hard to let someone else take care of me, even in the simplest things. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. I'm willing to learn. But this is a place, again, where we all have to get after we do our work. After we do our work. It's as Auntie Bravo said, walking it out in the shoe leather. That's where, the rubber meets the road. And that's where we got to make it happen. Yes, he has to have the patience of Job. Because I could be a project sometimes. I pray. I'm trying to meet him halfway. Whenever the Lord send him, I'm gonna try to meet him halfway. I'm gonna do my best. But I'm ready to be in that space. I am ready to start to walk it out. And it's a slow walk. And I think it's important that we also realize that we don't jump back into that space, because honestly, being on the other side of being healed, whole, and learning love here, again, it's a new space for me, and I'm figuring me out in this space. Even, I'm learning me day by day. So I say, give yourself grace to learn yourself over again. Give yourself grace to learn yourself in this new space that you're in. Whatever it is that you come through, whenever you come through. Um, whenever you've overcome your trauma, whenever you have overcome the setbacks and the disappointments, and you're standing back up on your 2 feet and you're in a really good and whole space, give yourself the grace to readjust yourself um, where you are and get to know the ground that you're standing on, because it's new. So it's different for me, but I like it here. I like it here. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And I love it. I hope on tonight, like I said, I know, God definitely must have had, maybe I was fighting against God's plan tonight. Maybe that's why things went the way that they went, because we were supposed to be here. But I'm grateful that we were able to have this conversation on tonight. And I'm hoping that something has been said and done and shared that you can take from here tonight as a resolution to what you may have been through or going through. Maybe you don't know how to start over at this point. Maybe you're midway on your journey, but I always hope that something is said, something is shared, and something is put out in the atmosphere that you can hold on to, you can grab a hold of, and that you can use and apply in your own life and also share with other people. So before we end tonight, as always, I want to thank you for joining me, for spending these 60 minutes with me on tonight. We will be back next Thursday. I promise you. Next week, we're going to have, I was scheduled to have another Meet the Authors. And we're still going to have the Meet the Authors. People are going to come and share from their books. I hope you guys, if you guys were on when my friend Gregory Bloomfield came and started and shared from his book, The 522 Man, well, he will be back. I'm not sure if he won't be back on with us this week, but he is coming back on because he just came back from a book tour over in the UK. He was over there for about 2 weeks sharing on his book. I promise you, it is so good. It's so amazing. The 522 Man is taken from Galatians 5:22, and he pulls out the points of the fruits of the Spirit in order to help men to get in a better space and to be able to move in life forward. Renee says you have shared some prophetic word. Thank you. Oh, amen. Praise God. I feel my assignment is complete. My mission is accomplished then. I'm so grateful. I am so truly grateful. So as always, like, subscribe, and share. Meet me back here next Thursday. You guys are completely awesome. And I want to end with one more poem from the book, if that's all right. Oh, thank you, Von Eric. Much love to you. I appreciate you guys. I do. As long as you're here, I'm going to be here. I'll be back, and we'll keep letting God do what he's doing. Thursday nights at Lady Dawn B. Listen, I'm a God girl, so just kind of let him have his way. But again, I guess his plan was greater than any other plan, because no matter who I tried to, who was supposed to show up tonight, everybody had a problem. But it's okay. God is still in control. So I'm going to read this to you healed. Why? Because we are now on the other side and in a healed space. So I hope you enjoy it. It says, I wondered why the answer I sought my soul could not impart. And that's when I realized what I really suffered from was a matter of the heart. See, the Bible says in Proverbs 23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Lord knows I have encountered my share of issues in this life, and I realized I mislabeled them for far too long. I now know that it was me that was singing the wrong song, sending the wrong signal that attracted the wrong things. My heart was sending a scent that was drawing all the wrong things. My heart was painting a picture for all the wrong things to see. I finally came to realize that the real issue was me. See, I was projecting negativity disguised within my positive actions, all while my heart and spirit were being broken down like fractions by me. So I was sending out a low vibration, one that indicated I needed saving, but it was calling the wounded to my soul. I'm sorry, but it was calling the wounded to my wounds. It was calling the broken to my tombs. It was calling the deceivers to my aid. And no matter how I covered it, dressed it up real pretty, God would be inside constantly unraveling my mess. He kept digging down into my soul so he could get down to the bottom of my mess. He wasn't like everyone else that couldn't see inside. They could only see what I covered. No one had no way of knowing there was much deep in my heart to discover. See, the love missing wasn't about a man or what my sister girls gave me. The love I was looking for was the love I needed from me. So mirror, mirror on the wall, it was time to face me after all. It's time to undress the wounds under my pretty wrap mess. It was time to take the war paint off. It was time to deal with the truth, not just one part. So I stay in a space just for me. And I waited on God to come show me. All the things I didn't want to see, but when he was done, I emerged a new me, a true me. And now as I take this journey of building my name, accepting my place, but not looking for fame, but just looking to finally
gonna make the rest of my life better.
Job when he created me. And that, my friends, is the poem Healed. So on tonight, again, I thank you for sharing this hour with me. I hope that you will join us again next Thursday for more great content from some of our authors. And they said, oh my, that was amazing. The visuals on that one were profound. Your book is on the way, and trust me, there's some good stuff. My partner, my co-writer, Antoinette Saunders, I'm gonna have her back on too. And we look forward to sharing more and more. So on tonight, thank you, Von Eric. Salute to everyone. Blessings to everyone. I say take the night to just do some self-reflection. Take a moment to just take that me time. Be honest with yourself. And that's the beginning of your healing journey. That's going to be the beginning of your reset. And I promise you, the other side of this journey that you go through is going to yield something so great, so amazing, and far more than you've ever imagined. So again, thank you guys for joining me on tonight. I love you. Be encouraged. Go be great. And we will see you again next Thursday for another great episode of Thursday Night with me, your girl, Ladies on Beat, on the Bravo with Sheila Network. Good night, everybody.
I'm always preaching on track, you feel me? I'm out to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informants informant, that information forming. Important you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. That game plan, show out like a drotter, pop out like a crosser. Telling the kick rock, skipping the cross, squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I don't whip out a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I don't whip out a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me Evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with peasant needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a